Robert is a musical director, composer, and educator. He's an expert on American musical theater and a board member for the Tin Pan Alley American Popular Music Project, helping them achieve the landmark designation of 5 historic Tin Pan Alley buildings on 28th Street in New York City. As a musical director, Vincent Canby of the New York Times once wrote, "Robert Lamont is worth his own paragraph." Robert has worked on and off Broadway and regionally with such artists as Carol Burnett, Jerry Orbach, Mark Antony, and Duncan Sheik. A veteran New York City music teacher and mentor, Robert was the Music Curriculum Development Co-Chair for the Department of Education's current Blueprint for Teaching and Learning in Music. And he has been a proud member of the International Wizard of Oz Club since 1980. Take it away, Robert.
Thank you very much. Good evening. As Cindy so aptly introduced me, thank you. I'm Robert Lamont, and I'm proud to be making my Oz convention debut with a collection of rarely heard songs from mostly Oz dramatizations over the 122 years since L. Frank Baum and W. Denslow created the wonderful Wizard of Oz. These songs were written for stage, screen, and even radio, and I'm lending focus tonight to many songs that were created for abandoned projects, or they weren't used in shows, or they're earlier or alternate versions of what actually ended up in the production. Oz, of course, found its way to the musical stage just 2 years after the book was published. A theater man himself, Denslow had earlier designed costumes and sets for productions, including the Eddie Foy Sr. vehicle, Little Robinson Crusoe, in 1895. Two of Denslow's designs are on the left, and that's Eddie Foy in the Denslow costume on the right. So Denslow's role as a costume and scenery designer in the Wizard of Oz musical had precedent. Since we're beginning our journey tonight on songs just after the 1902 musical, there's so much music I had to cut somewhere. Denslow next actively pursued other ideas that could provide him with similar theatrical triumphs. In 1903, he had an idea for 2 grotesque characters similar to the Scarecrow and Tin Man. And with friend and future Ziegfeld Follies songwriter Paul West, The Pearl and the Pumpkin was born. A children's book by West and Denslow came out first in 1904. Now, though L. Frank Baum published The Marvelous Land of Oz as a children's book that same year with a possible stage production in mind, Pearl and the Pumpkin, the children's novel, on the other hand, was really intended to build public awareness for the upcoming musical. The novel basically followed the plot first devised for the stage. Though Baum's doomed production of The Wogglebug quickly closed in Chicago in 1905, Pearl and the Pumpkin actually made it to Broadway, eking out 80 performances, thanks in part to the solid backing of legendary producers Klaw and Erlinger. Here's a Denslow medley featuring one of the hits of the 1905 Broadway musical, which was Denslow's first collaboration without L. Frank Baum, Paul West's and John Bratton's The Pearl and the Pumpkin. Oh, yes, and I also think Denslow's illustrations offer intriguing hints of what Jack Pumpkinhead might have looked like had Denslow stayed with L. Frank Baum to illustrate the second Oz book. A pumpkin in pies, we all of us prize, and surely no pumpkin a boy would affright. But a jack-lantern light is a terrible sight and frightens the children that walk out at night. When it's getting close to winter and Jack Frosty snoops about, then it's fun to take a pumpkin and to scoop his insides out. Then you cut a face upon it, and with a grin that makes you shout, and you stick it on a pole to have some fun. Now, when everything is still, in the shell you put a light. Then you hear somebody coming and you hide right out of sight. Then you shove the jack-o'-lantern in their faces, and in fright they holler as they turn around and run. Oh my, oh dear, what is that light so clear? Jack-o'-lantern Joe, Jack-o'-lantern Joe. Isn't he a naughty boy to scare us so? Jack-o'-lantern Joe, wonder where he'll go. Old Nick, fetch him, sure to catch him, Jack-o'-lantern Joe. Jack-o'-lantern Joe, Jack-o'-lantern Joe. Isn't he a naughty boy to scare us so? Jack-o'-lantern Joe, wonder where he'll go. Old Nick, fetch him, sure to catch him, Jack-o'-lantern Joe. Thank you.